There's a growing consensus that the Golden State Warriors would have been a lot better if they would have never signed Kevin Durant. Golden State Warriors sacrificed all their depth, all their bench players to get Kevin Durant. And now it's sort of biting them in the butt. They lost to San Antonio Spurs last night. They had to rest all their starters because they were playing like crap because of all the back-to-backs and the travel and the fact that they don't have a strong bench. Kevin Durant's injured, so he's not there to, help appease the load or, lighten the load. So hectic for the Warriors. And people are saying, see, you go for that big star and you lose all your depth and now you're suffering. This is what you get. You're not going to, most likely people are saying that they're not going to get the #1 seed and they're not going to have home court throughout the whole playoffs. I have a different take on this. When I look at all the players that they lost and I compare them to Kevin Durant, I think it's a no-brainer that you make that kind of decision. So truth be told, if Kevin Durant doesn't get injured, we're not having this conversation. I took a look at the stats of all these players, Barbosa, Spades, Barnes, Bogut. Do you know what Barbosa averaged last year? 6.4 points a game. Do you know he's averaging this year in the Suns? 6 points a game. Mo Spades, you know he averaged last year? 7 points a game. On the Clippers, he's averaging 9 points a game. Harrison Barnes is like the only guy that made a significant jump from 11 points to 20 points per game. And Bogut went from 5.4 points a game to 0 points a game. If you tally up Barbosa, Spades, and Barnes, Kevin Durant is still averaging more points than all three of them combined. And he's putting in a lot more work than they ever have. So for you to say that the Warriors would have been better off not signing Kevin Durant is ridiculous. Last year, the Golden State Warriors went 73-9. 73-9 is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You're not going to see them go 73-9 every single season. The Golden State Warriors could have came back with that same team from last year and still be at 52-14 like they are now. With Kevin Durant in the lineup, I think they were like 50-9 or 50-7. They were raping teams, straight raping teams, killing teams. So the whole fact of they're not going 73-9, they're losing more games. Of course they're gonna lose more games. You can't go 73-9 every year. You can't go 72-10 every year like the Bulls did. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and they were able to accomplish it with those players. But here's the thing. Here's the key point. When we talk about depth and what it does for a team, what did the Golden State Warriors' depth do for them when they went to the NBA Finals? They were up 3-1. Up 3-1. Everything's cruising along. What happened to Spades? What happened to Barnes? What happened to Barbosa? All of those players. What happened to Bogut? I know he got injured, but before he got injured, what was he doing that was so great? How come he couldn't contribute, before he got injured to a 20-point lead to make Golden State Warriors go over in Game 5? How about in Game 6? Where was Harrison Barnes? Where was Barbosa? Where was Spades? Those guys were nowhere to be found because at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top. And Kevin Durant is that cream. So if you would put Kevin Durant in a 3-1 scenario with his present team, against any team, most likely they would have closed them out. Now, Kevin Durant couldn't close out the Golden State Warriors, Russell Westbrook, and that's true. But this is a different kind of Kevin Durant. See, last year was last year. This year is this year. So you got to look at it from that standpoint and see Kevin Durant is a much better defensive player now than he was last year. He actually does a lot more than he does last year, and he gets the ball in the most efficient ways more than he did last year. If you really think that those bench guys are why the Golden State Warriors are struggling or they just should have never signed KD, like, you're losing your mind. At the end of the day, the NBA is built on talent. Talented teams win championships. If they don't win them right away, they'll eventually win them. Teams with like one or two guys, that's not winning anymore because that's not how the league is built anymore. Ever since LeBron joined up with Miami, that shifted the whole NBA to ask the most amount of talent and try to win games, and that's it about it. Bogut broke his leg in Cleveland, so that he's not playing. He's not doing it. In Dallas, he barely played. Festus Ezeli, knee injury, out for the rest of the season. Barbosa's averaging 6 points a game this year on Phoenix coming off the bench. Then you have Harrison Barnes. Dallas is 10th. Phoenix is 14th. You know what I'm saying? Maurice Spates is like the only guy that's in a playoff position. He's coming off the bench, and he just jumped up 2 more points per game. If I take Bogut, put him on the Warriors, back on the Warriors, he'll have a broken leg, he's out. Ezeli, have a messed up knee, he's out. Spates and Barbosa barely doing anything, and then you have Harrison Barnes, you know, choking it up. He'll probably still be averaging 11 points per game. Those guys have not gone on to make huge impacts on other teams. I just named, out of the 4 that they lost, or 5, only one of them is in the playoffs. So I'm sorry, guys. I disagree with you wholeheartedly. The Warriors would not have been better off not signing Kevin Durant, because if the season plays out how it does and still, you know, everything how it is, you know, the Warriors probably be like a 3rd seed right now, because all those guys would have been injured. You know, Kevin Durant just got injured. And they have a prospect to bring him back. So all this talk about they would have been better off is completely false. And I'll tell you something, man. I'll tell you something. If you think the Warriors should have never signed Kevin Durant, I'm pretty sure there's 29 other teams that would love to have him, even if they had a ton of talent. You think Cleveland would have signed Kevin Durant if they had a shot at getting him? This is Vlad from Hoops Junction with Hoops Meets Hoopla. Peace.